Oke, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for taking the time to watch this video. Before we begin, allow us to introduce ourselves. We are from Group 2, consisting of me, Miftahur Rahmanisa Zahra, Reina Rahmadini, and also Dinda Kustia Khairunisa. Okay, in this session, we will discuss the topic, what is discourse analysis? To provide a clearer understanding, our discussion will be divided into two main sections. The first one is discourse and performance, and the second one is discourse and intertextuality. This video is part of our coursework for discourse analysis and translation, and at the same time aims to broaden our collective understanding of discourse analysis. Okay, without further ado, let's dive into the discussion. So, first one, what is discourse analysis? Yeah, before diving into discourse analysis and translation, we first need to understand what discourse actually is. Discourse is more than just words and sentences. It is about how language is used in a specific social context to convey meaning. Okay, let's go straight to the discourse and performance in translation, please. Next slide, please. Okay, in translation, discourse isn't just about text. It's also about how language is used. A. Text as discourse. Yeah, when translating, we need to be aware that each type of text has a different discourse structure. For example, new articles focus on fact, often use formal and objective language. And then there's novels, yeah, narrative in nature, often use expressive and emotional language. Advertisements, persuasive, often play with words and creativity. In translation, we don't just need to understand the words in the source text, but also how the text is structured to deliver a certain message. For instance, an English news sentence, the government has announced new economic policies to boost growth. But if translated literally, pemerintah telah mengumumkan kebijakan ekonomi baru untuk meningkatkan pertumbuhan. However, in Indonesian news writing style, a more natural translation would be pemerintah umumkan kebijakan ekonomi baru demi dorong pertumbuhan. Jadi di sini kita sebagai translator itu tidak hanya harus memiliki kemampuan mentranslate ya, tetapi juga harus paham bagaimana membangun nuansa agar semua orang tuh dapat memahami apa maksud dari bahasan atau topiknya. Karena akan lebih mudah dipahami jika terjemahan itu natural atau alami dan juga tidak kaku. Okay. Next, language as performance. Yeah, okay. Beyond text structure, we also need to consider how language is used in a specific situation. For example, if a character in a movie says, "You've got to be kidding me," how should we translate it? Kamu pasti bercanda, atau serius nih, atau bisa juga masa sih, gitu. Which translation is the best? The answer depends on the situation, tone, and the character's expression in the film. Jadi harus menyesuaikan juga ya dengan situasinya, tone-nya, dan juga ekspresi dari si karakter tersebut. And then kita langsung masuk ke case study ya. Oke. Discourse in translation. To better understand how discourse affects a translation, let's look at another example. English sentence. I see what you mean. Literal translation. Saya melihat apa yang kamu maksud. Grammatically correct but sounds unnatural Indonesian. Lalu discourse based translation. Oh, aku paham maksudmu. Jadi di discourse based translation itu lebih natural dan juga lebih apa ya? Lebih enak gitu didengarnya. Now, from this example, we can see that a translation that considers discourse sounds more natural. Context and language usage matter more than just word for word substitution. A good translator, a good translator must understand the communication situation, Who is speaking, to whom, and in what context. The appropriate language style, formal or informal, and then cultural context, common expressions in the target language. Okay, next.
Okay. Next, discourse and intertextuality in translation. In translation, discourse is very important because meaning is not only determined by individual words, but not also by the context in which they are used. Meanwhile, intertextuality refers to the relationship between a text and other text that it exists before it. Jadi, intertextuality dalam translation itu eh, adalah bagaimana suatu teks atau wacana terhubung dengan teks atau wacana lain melalui kutipan, referensi, atau peminjaman gaya dan ide. Ini menunjukkan bahwa makna dalam sebuah wacana itu tidak bisa berdiri sendiri, tetapi dipengaruhi oleh teks sebelumnya atau yang relevan. Hal ini membantu pembaca dalam memahami suatu wacana dalam konteks yang lebih luas. Next, there is 3 types of intertextuality in translation. Yang pertama, the first is, sorry. The first is quotation from literary works, and the second is religion quotation, usually from sacred texts such as the Holy of Al-Quran and the Bible, and the three is idioms from literary works. This is quotation from literary works. For example, the famous line from Shakespeare play Hamlet. To be or not to be, that is the question. If the translate literally, it would mean ada atau tiada, itu pertanyaannya. However, in context, it is better translate is hidup atau tidak hidup, itu pertanyaannya, to reflect its true meaning. And then, next will be explained with my friend Dinda.
Okay, the next is religious quotations that usually from sacred texts such as the Quran and the Bible. Example, in the Quran, Surah Al-Baqarah, English translation, Sahih International is, "This is the book about which there is no doubt, a guidance for those conscious of Allah." Indonesian translations, kitab Al-Quran ini tidak ada keraguan padanya, petunjuk bagi mereka yang bertakwa. When translating religious texts, it is important to use official. Next, me. And the last is idioms form. Sorry. And the last is idioms from literary works. Example of famous idiom from Shakespeare's works, "All that glitters is not gold." Translated in Indonesian as, "Tidak semua yang berkilau itu emas." This means that something that looks beautiful and valuable from the outside maybe not always have a real worth. Jadi nggak selamanya yang berkilau itu berharga. Begitu. Next slide, please. Okay, the next, there are some challenges in translating discourse and intertextuality. So many, but this is 3. The first is cultural cultural differences. Some reference may be difficult to understand in different cultures. The second one is accuracy and versus adaptation. Translators must decide whether to translate literally or adapt the text to make it easier to understand. And the last is official translations. If there is an official translation of a reference text, the translator should use it to maintain consistency in meaning. Okay. Back to Miftah.
Okay, so yeah, so those are the key aspects we need to understand if we truly want to become a good and responsible translator. Hopefully, what we've discussed here can be a valuable piece of knowledge for anyone who needs it. Okay, that's all from us. Thank you, guys. Bye bye. Assalamualaikum
Bye-bye. Sorry if
warahmatullahi
there's a mistake.
wabarakatuh.
Assalamualaikum.
Sama-sama.